You are listening to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss our RC adventures.
Welcome to the Park Flyer Podcast, where we discuss the ups and downs of the new RC Flyer. Join your hosts, Michael and Jay, as they take flight at the park. Now on with the show.
Hi, everybody. We're back here during our Saturday event here at the Electric Festival, and I'm here with Scott. And I was walking by where he was sitting, and I saw an old radio that I used to have. And I'm sorry, his last name was Scott Todd. And I was walking by his table, and he had a bunch of old radios sitting out there in front on the table. And there was an old Kraft radio. Actually, this is a better radio than I first started out with. I just had the simple Kraft. I didn't have the. You
didn't have the upgraded version?
Yeah, I didn't have the upgraded version.
This one has a meter on it.
No, mine did not.
Yeah.
So this thing was, I was like, oh, this is cool. And Mike was telling me, AK Mike was telling me, hey, it has all new guts in it. And I'm like, really? And so we brought Scott over to tell us how he started doing this fantastic conversion of these radios.
Yeah, it's an old new, right?
Yeah, something old, something new.
There you go.
That's
something
exactly.
borrowed, something blue. We should
Yeah,
have brought the
we
blue.
should have
Yeah. The next time,
we had a blue one down there.
Yeah, next time.
But Todd, Mr. Todd, tell us a little bit about the radio and how you just kind of.
I will. A little bit of background. My dad was an Air Force guy, and he served in Vietnam and earned a Bronze Star. I was really proud of him.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when I was a kid, he flew model airplanes in the 60s, and he learned in Ramstein, Germany when we were over there.
Nice.
And I see all those pictures that my mom and dad had, they're both gone now, of all these old radios. So my dad passed away 3 years ago, and he always talked about flying EK Logic Troll radios on his Taurus, which was the 1962 World Aerobatic Champion airplane. So to honor my dad, I always wanted to build a Taurus. So I started looking on eBay for a Taurus kit or an EK Logic Troll radio.
Right.
So I spent way too much money on some old EK Logic Troll radios from the 60s. Couldn't find a Taurus kit. And these radios were all jankied up, and they were corroded and nasty.
Janky,
We know about janky.
We know about janky
Here's
Dub.
our janky plane, by the way.
Right.
I got to make one of these work to honor my dad, you know? So I started doing the research, and I have a degree in electronics technology before I became an aerospace engineer, so I kind of knew the electronics part of it. I'm like, the encoders are old, and the capacitors leaked, and the transistors leaked, and I got the oscilloscope on there, and I can't get the things to work, you know? And then I stumbled across a guy in the UK who wrote a small piece of software for an Arduino microcontroller.
That's right here.
Yeah, and so I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. I could probably learn how to do that. So I messed around with the Arduino and his code, and I reached out to him, and he gave me some good advice. And then the RF modules, it's a modern 2.4 gigahertz RF module, and you can get them out of radios that are junky, or you can buy them from some of the online places. Can I say where I get those from?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Hobby King's my favorite place because they have the ones that plug into the back of an old JR or Futaba radio to make it 2.4.
The modules, yeah.
Yeah, the modules. So you get the modules for $25 or $30, and you only need 3 wires, plus, minus, and then the PPM signal.
Right.
And so the Arduino generates the PPM signal to go into the RF module.
Nice.
And then the code in the Arduino is really simple. It's about 175 lines.
Wow.
And it does servo reversing, endpoint adjustment, sub trim, dual rates, throttle cut, Elevon mixing, VTail mixing.
Nice.
So I started playing with that, and I wanted to do one of those old EKs, but I haven't actually got one of the old EKs done quite yet.
Right.
So I picked up some cheap radios off of eBay, and like this Kraft right now that Jay's holding is a 1976 Kraft 5-channel. And they're nasty, disgusting, corroded when you buy them off of eBay for $30, you know. So yeah, I just got them right down to the case and cleaned up the pots, and the pots were really good in those days. And the stick gimbals, cleaned them all up so they work nice, and put new wiring in there, and put the Arduino in there, and put an RF module in there. And they draw about 50 milliamps under power.
Wow.
So I leave a little 2-cell LiPo in here that's at storage charge.
Yeah, this is only a 300.
Yeah, and so at 50 milliamps, it'll fly that thing for 8 hours, you know. And so even
Dude,
at storage charge,
crazy.
I know I can go out and fly it for a couple hours, not even worry about the battery, you know.
So it's got a quad-core 64-gig processor?
It does, yeah. So it's an ARM 328 running at 16 megahertz on 5.5 volts.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so the Arduinos, that's the most expensive part about this because those are like $3.50 or $4, depending on where you buy them from. So.
I see how you're putting out the money there.
Yeah. So
really breaking the bank.
Actually, looking at this, I think you have more money in wires than you probably do in that Arduino.
Probably so.
So I've collected so many old radios, I like to use the old wiring. So if I get one that's not corroded too bad, I just save the wire bundles out of them. Sometimes I'll use a servo plug, so there's a servo extension in there. And because of my avionics background, I tie the wires up so it looks nice.
Yeah, right.
But the Arduinos run, $4 or $5, and then the modules, $20, $25, depending on where I get them.
That's cool.
Now people donate them. And you can buy the radio that Jay's holding for maybe $30 or $40. Somebody charges you $20 to ship it to you.
That's cool. That seems like a lot of fun.
So what is the meter on the front do?
It doesn't do anything. So it was an RF meter back in the day.
Yeah,
but since we don't need to measure RF because the signal is so weak on 2.4 gigahertz, I usually don't hook them up, but I put an LED behind them. So if Jay turns this on, it'll beep right up and it lights up. So just to tell you that's on.
It lights up.
And it's making noise right now because you have throttle on it. So if you move the throttle stick down, it'll quit chirping at you. Yeah.
That is neat.
That's pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so what's the little push button on the side for?
So the push button on the side is used to calibrate the sticks when you first build it. So the Arduino doesn't know what the value of the stick pots are.
Right.
And in those days, all the manufacturers use different pots.
Sure.
So we don't know if it's a 5K or a 10K pot. So when you first boot it up, you hold that button down when you turn it on, and then you can calibrate the stick gimbals by moving the sticks to their extremes. And so that's all calibrated.
Gotcha.
And then once it's done with that, we'll use this button for other functions. And so it emulates the single-channel radios from the 50s.
Right.
So if you push it and hold it once, you get right rudder.
Oh, okay.
If you push it and hold it twice, you get left rudder.
Oh, man.
And if you push it and hold it 3 times, you get up elevator. Because that's how the old escapements worked
I love
back
it.
in the
Oh, my
50s.
gosh.
So that's programmed.
Imagine high-speed maneuvers, Mike.
I'm doing an aerobatics competition by the Morse code.
Yeah, and so guys did those aerobatic competitions with the single-channel airplanes.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
It is.
all the guys at my local field, they all play with the radios. I always bring a couple of them out. We all do the single-channel contest, who can spot land with and all that. And if you get
awesome.
nervous, you just grab the stick and fly it.
So
there
what do
you
you
go.
fly usually when you're doing that contest?
So you guys might have saw down there, I built a little eaglet, Carl Goldberg eaglet mock-up, and it's got the little 3D printed motor on there. So I try to do some vintage airplanes like that.
Cool. That's cool.
Wow, that's neat.
Little park flyers.
Wow.
And when I do a fresh build, the first thing I do is I go out and I range check it.
Yeah.
So I put it in a little park flyer foamy and I fly it up as high as I can see it. Okay, that's good. And then I'll fly it out as far as I can see it. And that's good. And then I'll fly it back and then we're good. That one's signed off and ready to go fly. And then I'll put it in anything, so.
That's cool.
Well, now I wish I would have brought my radio down from Alaska when I moved down here.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, that's right.
And I brought
bummer.
I usually
Some
don't
dude
bring
probably
them out.
sold it to him
Some
already.
guy probably sold it to me on eBay, yeah. So I was talking to somebody
Exactly.
yesterday, and we were talking about old radios because somebody said, Scott does old radios. you know?
Right.
And I usually don't bring them out, but he says, could you bring one out for me to see tomorrow? So I'm like, yeah, I'll bring a couple out. You can fly them if you want. We'll put it on an airplane.
That might have been Doug, actually.
It was
It could have
Doug.
been
It was
Doug,
Doug.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Doug.
Doug,
Yeah, it was Doug.
Yep.
Yeah. So I brought him out for Doug today. And then it's nice to put them on display because then somebody like you or Jay would say, hey, I got one of those. Do you want it? Yeah, I'll take it. You know?
Right.
Yeah, good.
So I have I've done about 50 of the conversions. I still have about 40 of them. I've given 10 away. I've given some to some model events like this for pilot raffles.
That's cool.
I've given some away to friends.
That's neat.
Nice.
And I try not to sell them. I've been offered lots of money for some of them. Some old
Sure,
guy will see the old
sure.
single stick Kraft. I had one of those. I'll give you $500 for it. I really don't want to sell my work. I don't do commission work.
Yeah.
Right.
But for my friends and for people who have deserved it for some reason, I'll do it and give it to them for
That's
free.
cool, man.
Yeah,
That's
so
fantastic.
I like to give stuff away and share the hobby. You know?
Yeah, sure. That's great.
Wow, we love that.
Yeah.
Holy smokes, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Jay might get to fly his old Kraft after all. He just doesn't
Yeah,
know.
he just doesn't know. That's right. This may have been yours, actually.
That might have been
Yeah.
No.
No, Jay marked all his inside.
Yeah.
yeah.
He inscribed
Uh-huh.
it. It used to belong
Jay
to
was
me.
here, I think is what it said.
Jay was here.
exactly.
Yeah.
that's,
So a lot of these old radios from the 70s, we're holding a 1976 Kraft Bicentennial Series 5-channel, but they had these repair records inside, and so I get some of them that were first serviced in 1968 or 69,
Wow,
and
that's
some
crazy.
guy's signature there,
That's pretty cool.
So this one has a repair record in it, and it was blank, so I put my autograph on there. So
that's
Nice.
December 24th, I refurbished it, added 2.4 gigahertz. I put my
Christmas
initials
Eve.
on there. Yeah,
He's like,
yeah.
I'm going to do
doing
this.
something that day.
There you go.
Yeah, and then I put the software version in here because I changed the software
Yeah,
kind of for different
sure.
radios just to tweak it,
Sure.
And this one's got some extra features. So if we were putting it on a Futaba receiver, we'd order the channel so that throttle is number 3.
Yeah.
For fail-safe, and we're putting on a JR, we'll order it so throttle is number 1 for fail-safe.
right.
So by putting a jumper on the board, I got that all pre-programmed in.
That's cool.
And then on channel 5 for landing gear, if you want to reverse it, and make it go slower. You can put a jumper on the board, so it's easy to do that stuff at the
That's
field.
really cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that I noticed on this case cover is he's got the old frequency.
72 megahertz.
Yeah, even though it's not really a 72 megahertz, he did that to sort of try to keep
it.
Make sure when you go out to the flight line, you hold that up in the air and flip the switch just to freak everybody out.
You had to grab the 72.16
pen.
pen.
Yeah,
Just
put it
out.
on there.
Yeah.
I'm on blue and white today.
That's right.
So they're fun, and some of the other buttons on here, that's the single channel emulation. This is a throttle cut, because I only fly electric airplanes anymore, so it's kind of safe,
Safety,
you know.
yeah.
And this is channel 5 for gear. And then this is a variable rate on the primary channels like aileron and elevator. So you can just dial in the dual rates right away. So if you're flying an airplane, you know.
That's cool.
And that's really nice on the single channel button. So if we're flying some little 3-channel trainer, you can just dial that in to get the exact amount of throw you need right there on the flight line. Boom, you're done.
That's cool.
No monkeying with buttons or programming.
Yeah,
like
that's kind of neat.
And you hand a radio to somebody and you're like, oh, it's got too much throw. Oh, there, try that.
Oh, that's perfect. That's great.
Wow. Oh, that'll work opposite for me. They'll go, it doesn't have enough throw. Okay, we'll roll it that way.
Roll it
That's
that way.
Funny.
Crank it up.
So
that's about all I can say. The encoders are simple. It's Arduino based.
Yeah.
They do it. It does a 7-channel encoding stream. That's the guy in the UK.
Right.
Phil._G at singlechannel.uk. He's the guy that did the software.
Lord.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy.
I'm going to play that back a couple times.
Yeah.
Get that right.
Phil_G at singlechannel.uk.
there you go.
And he's on RC Groups as Phil_G. And I'm on RC Groups as Scott Todd. I don't try to hide who I am. So.
Okay, good.
And I have a blog. I talk about old radios, and I talk about switches. And I was flying for Futaba back in the 80s, and I started out with their first computer radios. So I really like to help the guys at the field that are afraid of computer radios. Let me show you how to program your dual rates. You know,
Make sure you have to put aileron in your plane.
Yeah, to make that work. So I like playing with the radios. It's kind of fun.
Well, this is a beautiful piece of work.
That is amazing. Now, did you obviously restored the box? Is that the original color, or did you repaint it?
It is. So, you know, when they made these in the 70s, that was kind of the heyday of RC when people could start to afford it.
Right.
And all these manufacturers, Kraft and EK and Orbit, this is a vinyl-covered aluminum box. So they put this vinyl on there, then they stamped it out and they bent it up. And the vinyl holds up really well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So, you know,
you see it a little
you
bit
can see it starting to come apart. And sometimes when they get really bad corrosion from the old NiCads that were in there, it'll creep under the vinyl. Then you can't do much with them. You're just kind of done. So you try to find one that's not too bad. But they clean up really nice.
Yeah.
You know, I just gut them right down to the metal case, and then under the sink with Dawn and a magic eraser for an hour, and you get it cleaned up. You know,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's brand new, actually.
Sometimes I'll tumble the aluminum parts in a rock tumbler, but I'll use a Q-tip and alcohol and clean all the stick gimbals so it really looks nice. I want it to look brand new again.
Sure, it does.
Try to get every speck of dirt off of every crevice.
You know, it's pretty clear to me, looking at this thing, that there is a lot of love that you put into this. I mean, this isn't just about electronics and the aesthetic of it. I mean, you definitely put your heart and soul into this.
Well,
it's obvious to see when you look at it.
And it's a really good dedication to your dad too. I think.
I agree.
So you can see that the dedication to your dad comes out in the beautiness and the beautifulness of this radio.
Yep.
It's a very good tribute. So.
As a GI, he was hardcore to me. It was yes sir, no sir growing up.
Sure.
But he always instilled upon me, there's two ways to do it. You can do it right or you can do it over.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Just do it right. You don't have to do it again. So it takes me about a half an hour to take one apart and strip it down, and then I spend about 2 or 3 hours cleaning. Just cleaning.
Yeah.
And then it takes me about 3 or 4 hours to put it all back together.
I imagine the cleaning part's really the key part to making these look as good as they do.
And believe it or not, that's the part I enjoy the most.
Yeah,
I got a half a dozen radios sitting on the counter at home. They're all clean and ready to be done. But
yeah.
Well, something satisfying about that.
It is, yeah. And when you're done cleaning it, you know, can I save this one or not?
Yeah,
When they go in the can be saved pile or it's too corroded or it's too far gone, it won't look nice when I'm done with it. And there are plenty available still, you know. We can buy this Kraft radio on eBay for $30 or $40 if he really wants one, you know.
Yeah.
And even though I don't do it on commission, he's only holding that $30 or $40, the $25 in the module, and the rest of it's worth nothing, you know. A couple of new switches. Wow. And then you throw 8 hours of labor at it and you're done.
Right.
And then 24 hours later.
And you're all set, you know.
The problem is Jay's too busy looking at YouTube videos of random stuff.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay,
so.
well, you know, it started with that midget rolling contest. And,
dang it.
Then I was watching cat videos. So
next thing you know, you're watching cat videos.
Exactly. Well, this actually falls under the category where I watch a guy and he gets like an old rusty knife.
Yep.
And then makes it into something totally different or restores it.
Yeah.
And this kind of falls in that same
category
category
sure does.
of having to strip it, clean it, make it beautiful, taking out the guts, putting in some new stuff, and making it awesome. So, yeah, I would watch a video of this. Just to have you know, I'd sit down for an hour and just watch and go, wow, that's really interesting. I don't know why. It's so satisfying to me to see something
I
be
get
restored.
A lot of the older flyers that are a little bit older than me like the vintage radios and they want to fly them. And so they ask me, will you sell one of these? And I feel guilty telling them no. But I always tell everybody, I will show you how to do it and I will help you do it. Come over to the house. We'll get the soldering iron out.
Yeah, sure.
I have all the stuff there.
Right.
I'm not going to do it for you, but I'd be more than happy to hold your hand.
Yeah, I totally get it.
And educate you. It's all
Good
about
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Teach them to fish.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Well, that's amazing that all this technology exists that you can take something that's old and make it look new again.
Yeah. He's holding a 50-year-old radio in his hand, and we're flying it, having a good time with it.
And you're flying a modern airplane with it too.
Yeah, we fly anything with it. Yeah, we'll fly anything with it.
So it's crazy.
It just takes, and like any other radio, it's pretty easy to set it up on that little foamy right there. It just takes us 5 minutes to get the rates right and the reversing right, and go fly it.
Fly it. Huh?
You don't even have to heat up the vacuum tubes.
You don't even have to heat them up. You turn it on, it's ready to go.
That's amazing.
Oh man, that is very, very
cool. That is truly amazing. I got yanked out for the interview, but that's truly a good find there, Jay. That's
there's some good discussions on RC groups and the Vintage Radio Forum. All the guys that talk about it, and you can see my stuff on there, and I always post pictures. And then it's pretty fun. So some of those vintage guys are good. It's pretty fun.
So what was it like flying for a manufacturer?
So I started flying for Futaba in about 84, 85, I guess. And I was a college student, and I was really good. I could fly a helicopter in 1984.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. And so I did that for about 8 or 10 years, and it was fun. But then they got into the modern era in the mid-'90s where I had to start writing reports. You got to go to so many fly-ins a year, and you got to write the reports, and you can't fly the competitor stuff because I like the JR radio for the helicopters and Futaba for the airplanes, and they didn't like that. So I decided.
I didn't realize they stopped you from flying the competitive stuff.
They did in those days.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the early '90s, they didn't want you flying anybody else's stuff if you were on their team.
Wow.
And I liked the JR stuff for helicopters because I could fly a helicopter in those days.
Yeah.
And I like Futaba on my airplanes. And so I ended up stopped flying for them. So I flew Futaba radios and OS engines, and I would travel around the country flying Concept 30 helicopters and doing demos with them.
Wow.
So that was pretty fun.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I could loop and roll a helicopter and fly it around inverted and do a rolling circle in 1983.
Holy smokes.
It was an RC helicopter. So.
And look at us now.
Yeah.
And I can't even do that now.
I can't do it anymore either, man.
Now they have variable props to do all that stuff. You didn't have that then.
No.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we did start with collective, and then I started with fixed pitch, and then got into collective, and I flew with guys like Curtis Youngblood, in those days, and Mike Moss, and some of those classic guys. We all flew together in contests.
That's amazing.
Cliff Hyatt was a 3-time national champion.
Yep.
I went to school in Orlando where Cliff worked. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's
pretty neat. Pretty fun. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
That is amazing. So
I started flying RC airplanes in 1977 when I was 13 years old. Spent all summer saving money to buy my first radio. It's a Royal Super Sport. I still have it. I still fly it.
I was about to ask.
I paid $469 for it in 1977.
Holy crap!
Holy smokes! That's like $1 million today. Inflation.
$20.
Yeah.
Actually, my wife told me that the other day. You know why they charge for air at the gas station now? Inflation.
That's a good one.
Oh my god!
I'm going to use that.
Leave them laughing. Feel free to use that anytime.
Yeah.
So, aerospace engineering. You said you got all these degrees. What did you do for a living?
I was a rocket scientist.
Were you? Okay.
Yeah. So
there you go.
I left home. I got my associate's degree in electronics technology while I was still in high school. Because I went to a little country school out in Colorado. There was nothing there, so they let us go to the community college in the morning.
Right.
Sure.
So I graduated high school with an AS degree in electronics technology, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to build airplanes. So I went to college. When I was 18, I borrowed a car with $500 in my pocket, and I drove to the University of Central Florida, and I put myself through engineering school, earned a degree in aerospace engineering.
Wow.
I went to work for Pratt & Whitney in West Palm Beach designing rocket engines.
There you go.
And jet engines. And I designed parts that fly on the Atlas Centaur upper stage, and I designed parts that flew in the SR-71, A4 Skyhawk, A6 Intruder, F-15, F-16.
Awesome.
So I have parts that flew in all those engines. And it's a funny story. We were at the park a few weeks ago, and somebody had a model of an F-22 on the table.
Oh, yeah.
And they're debating whether it had thrust vectoring or not. And the knowledgeable guy at the park said, no, it didn't. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it did. He goes, no, you know what you're talking about. I'm like, well, I designed the hinge cover where the vectoring mechanism is in that engine, so I'm pretty sure
I know what I'm talking about.
Vectors.
Yeah, I'm just taking a wild guess here, but
really.
when I was walking on the moon.
You go, how'd you do that? I'm like, well, in 1990 when I worked at Pratt & Whitney, I designed those parts.
Right.
Oh my God!
He's the guy. He's the guy I want to be. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually met a guy that almost exactly the same thing happened. They were talking about some jet engine that was on like the T-38s or something, and he's an old guy. He was standing there, and they were just arguing over such and such. And he made the comment like you just did. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's this. And they're like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, yeah, actually, that's my signature on this blueprint. He designed the whole engine, so he did know what he's talking about. So it's awesome when stuff like that happens. So that's great.
So I did that at Pratt & Whitney for many years, rocket engines and jet engines.
Right.
And then my wife and I moved out to Arizona 21 years ago for Honeywell.
Right.
They hired us both as engineers.
Oh, nice.
On jet engine stuff. She's also an engineer.
Nice.
I met her in grad school. And so we worked at Honeywell for a couple of years doing jet engine stuff. And then I decided I was done, and I retired, and I opened a hobby shop in Chandler and ran the hobby shop for 8 years. And then I sold that a few years ago. We adopted some kids from the state of Arizona, and so I'm the stay-at-home dad. And
there you go.
And I do a little freelance flight instructing on the side. I'm a full-scale pilot.
You have a Kit Fox.
I have a Kit Fox, yeah. So I do a little flying on the side, and that's fun.
And that's a Chandler as well.
Yep, that's a Chandler. Yeah, and I do that. It drives my wife nuts, but I do that pro bono, you know. So I always do that for the price of a lunch. So you take me out for a hamburger, and I'll take you flying.
I used to teach at Wings 270, so we were there, and I think you were talking to somebody about going up to Kit Fox.
Yeah.
Now, the hobby shop you had was on Dobson and
Ray.
Yeah.
Adventure Hobbies.
Adventure Hobbies, that's right, it was. And I used to shop there all the time. You had a lot of helicopter stuff in there.
We did, yeah. It was a lot of fun being
and
there.
a lot of rockets too.
If
you wanted rockets or helicopters, you went to Adventure Hobbies.
That was the place to go. Yeah. You remember
and
that.
then did you have anything to do with National over here as well, right? Or,
yeah. So when I sold my hobby shop to a guy, I won't mention his name, but he had it for 3 years, didn't do too good,
right.
And then he offered to sell it back to me, and I was done with that. I just wanted to go play and raise my kids, you know.
Sure.
And so National said, if we buy it, will you come in and set it up for us and run it? So I said, sure. So I gave him my price, and they said, we'll pay you.
Right.
So we shook hands on a year contract. So I set up National and helped them get it all set up and running in my old store location.
Right.
And that worked really good. My year was up, and I left. And then they were making money when I left. You know, I was really proud of that.
Yeah, good for you.
And then some other guy went in there, and then it went back downhill.
That's the way it works.
Here.
I had the same thing happen to me.
I feel like if you're running a store like that, you really have to have a passion beyond just trying to make money. I mean,
you do,
because if you don't, people see it, one, and two, they're just not going to come back because your heart's on it. At least that's just my take on it.
It's a hard business. In the hobby shop, I've always visited the hobby shops in town, and I give those guys a lot of credit. It's a hard job for them, but don't tell nobody this. You know, but don't tell nobody this.
It'll be secret.
But
we won't tell anybody.
Between the three of us,
we're printing money in the back room. Because it was doing that well, so successful. But if you remember, my passion was there.
Right.
We're flying airplanes over the lake all the time.
I know it was.
And I'm giving stuff away. My accountant says you need to give more stuff away. You know, the last year I was there, we did about $1 million out of 1,600 square feet, and I gave away $25,000. And he said, for $1 million a year, you need to give away more than 25 grand.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's $2,000 a month I'm giving away.
Yeah, it's still a lot.
And I could give away more. You know, and that was just all my friends that would come in. I'd never let them pay for anything.
Right.
You know? We're having a good time flying a new airplane. Let's go fly it. You know?
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to fly over the lake, and all I could think about was if I dip that thing in there and I have to pay for that, I can't afford it. So I decided not to.
We put so much stuff in that lake.
Yeah, because actually when I was there one time, the guy had to go out in the little skiff or boat or whatever. They had this little boat you could go out there, paddle boat, I think. But that was actually kind of cool.
That was a lot of fun owning the hobby shop.
Yeah,
you know, super fun. And all the local heroes came by. Jason Krause would come visit us and fly. And Jason Showman, world aerobatic guy, would come by and fly with us, you know. So those old guys would all stop in.
That's
cool.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. So, and then now you're just kind of hanging out, right?
I just hang out. I play with the kids, you know. I take them to school in the morning, and I got a 7-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 15-year-old. I adopted them all when they were little.
Very nice.
So I do the stay-at-home dad thing, and I do the freelance flight instructing. I do flight reviews for people whenever they want it, tailwheel instruction, and I teach people to get their drone license if they want that, because I keep my CFI current, so I know about all the regulations, which is mostly what a drone license is, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I do that. And I get calls for freelance drone work, and I always turn it down. I'd rather just fly model airplanes. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
So real quick, how do you feel about the FAA and their
I'm scared. I'm scared, you
know.
Yeah, I'm worried. You know, I have all the drones at home, you know, but I don't fly them much. But I'm worried it's going to hurt our hobby. You know? If we have to go to remote ID and we got to start spending money on that, it's going to hurt our hobby.
Yeah.
And if the FAA would just draw a line in the sand and say, if it's got a camera, it's in this category. And if it doesn't have a camera, we'll leave you guys alone.
Yeah.
'Cause we've been doing it successfully for 100 years.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
The AMA is working hard on our behalf. The EAA is working hard on our behalf.
The AOPA just got involved.
AOPA just got involved on our behalf, so that's awesome. And if the FAA will recognize that if it's got a camera, we're going to regulate you. And if it doesn't have a camera, we just need to leave you alone because it's been working for 100 years.
Yeah.
Right?
I like it.
AMA's been around for 80-plus years, and it's been working.
Yeah.
Well, we had a podcast just 1 or 2 ago, I think, that we talked about it, and I read some verbiage in there that should be very nerve-wracking to a lot of people.
Yeah, it's scary.
It is scary. You know, they've put that in there. So once again, if you're on this, by the time this comes out, I think it'll be too late to
comment.
But the comment period, I think this is the shortest comment period I think the FAA has ever had.
Yeah, the EAA lobbied to extend it with AOPA, and they won't extend it.
They won't.
You know?
So that's pretty stupid. So, all right, man, we are off to the noon show, I think. But
thank you guys for having me.
Scott, thank you very much for hanging out with us.
That was a lot of fun.
It was great meeting you, Scott.
We'll have to
Take
do it
care,
again.
guys. Thank you very much for everything.
Okay,
Thanks.
thanks.
All right, guys.
Bye-bye.
Well, everybody, welcome back to Saturday afternoon on the Park Flyer Podcast. We are just in the middle of the raffle, and as we were sitting here watching people get their gifts, Bryce Hatfield from Radical RC walked by.
Critical, but that's close enough.
Actually, Bryce and I are friends, so I always have to give him bust his chops. But yes, he's with Critical RC, and he works with Flex Innovations as well. But why don't you give us a little lowdown on the business and what you do over there at Critical?
So, obviously, Flex Innovations airplanes that Kiki Semenzzini, Dave Ribby, and Joseph Birch, they're the owners of the company. They started off went from Horizon Hobbies I guess it's been about 6 years now.
Yeah.
And they make they're on the pinnacle forefront of 3D and really precise airplanes from foam all the way up through 120 size gas stuff. And so what I did, and I've been working with Joseph Birch making the Aura 8 gyro system since the inception of it. He was doing some GPS driven stuff when I was working for Dillon. So we made an 8,000 pound remote target vehicle.
Wow.
And we were doing driving it along our shooting range.
Right.
Would line up with the snipers in the helicopters and do some aerial sniper training. So along with that, it kind of evolved into we need to make this controller for it work and do GPS autonomous driven. So they were all leaving Horizon and decided that they wanted to make a company for real pilots that don't fly just little toys, which Horizon all geared everything towards.
Right.
And now make probably the best airplanes on the market with our flight controller that doesn't fight you as the AS3X does.
Right.
So Critical RC was derived because I no longer work at Dillon. And I make a bunch of carbon fiber accessories and some CNC hubs for our wheels and do a bunch of different high-performance accessories for guys who like to beat the hell out of airplanes.
Right. Well, there you go. I can testify that he can do that with the best of them, too. I've seen some of Bryce's airplanes.
They may not look pretty, but they always make it
Before
through.
or after? You've seen them before or after?
I've seen them both.
Okay.
Well, so we on my speed controls and our throttles, I don't use a servo. It's just an on and off switch.
Okay.
It's full throttle or we land.
Yep.
Right.
There's no in between. That's right. Oh, then there's hover mode.
Hover mode, yeah, there you go. Right in front of my pilot box, might I add.
Yeah, and usually with the smoke on. So
Usually the smoke on, so I can't see my jet.
And it really saves on electronics because, that's just a 3-position switch.
Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's lighter.
Yeah.
See
Right.
there? I mean, every ounce counts.
And if anything goes wrong, you just go to the next mode, right? Just flick.
Yeah. So one thing is that we like to land.
Right.
We like doing big Harriers to a landing where you slam the thing onto the runway, and all aluminum gear eventually just bend out of the way.
Right.
So one of the main product that I'm making are really flexible carbon landing gear that spring and come back. So they'll actually splay out about 6 inches.
Wow.
Nobody in the industry is making a carbon gear that actually flexes, doesn't break, and springs back. So my whole thing is that's 80% of your flying is one wheel landings and stuff, not pattern flying where you do one takeoff and one landing when the throttle's off. I'm sorry. That's not, there's half the flight regime is not even being addressed. So my products are geared towards really hard 3D flyers that want to beat the hell out of an airplane and make it live. So all my FLEXCESSORIES are specifically devised.
I like the way he
Very nice.
FLEXCESSORIES.
FLEXCESSORIES. That's
How long
it,
did you
baby.
stay up at night for that?
I was going to say, that sounds like another T-shirt on the back.
Exactly.
That's right.
FLEXCESSORIES.
He thought long and hard about that. Yeah.
Well, you got to say, so Critical RC, in actuality, Joe Birch named that.
Oh, no
So,
kidding.
he
'cause
kind of came up with my little logo
Yeah,
here.
it looks good.
I don't know why we did the jet on it, but that was in homage to you. That's all.
Okay. Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
We got to appeal to the jet guys too.
Yeah,
you know?
thank
Smoke
you.
is thick over here.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I thought I was free of that this weekend. Evidently not. I get ribbed all the time at the club.
You don't deserve it?
No, I deserve it.
Wait, I'll speak slower.
No,
Remember,
no.
you're a pilot. That's right.
Not to go like that while you're.
That's right. I got to use my hands and start. So I was pulling G
Exactly.
over the top.
That's
and yeah,
right.
exactly.
The Top Gun. You know how it is. Well, that's fantastic. And then you have wheels and stuff that go with it too. right?
Absolutely.
Yep.
So the beauty of this thing is all of our tires. There's a bunch of people making CNC aluminum wheels, and if you ever hear them, you'll know exactly where they are because they clank down the runway. They're rubber tires that are on them, and they go clunk clunk clunk. And why do you even want to put that stress through the airframe?
Right.
So we use our original foam wheels that come with all of our kits, and then. Problem with those is they're plastic hubs, of course, and they always break. So I just started making some CNC hubs for them that are all brass pushed, and they're like $55 to $59. But you will never buy another wheel for your airplane, and they'll go up to 22-pound airplanes right now, with some bigger versions coming along, and we can actually land one wheel Hoover style. Oh, we do a little different. It's one wheel and wingtip.
There you go.
So
There you go.
So maybe maybe a wingtip protector in those.
we might be
those
doing that too.
accessories.
Yeah, we got some carbon parts. We're going to see some wing cuffs here coming.
Yeah,
So
very nice, very nice. So have you been doing carbon fiber work for a long time, or just
so
you just
years ago, I actually had a business supporting my midget and sprint car racing.
Sure.
So I was making carbon Kevlar wheel mud covers for the sprint cars and midgets, and we were saving almost a full pound of sprung weight.
Wow.
That's unheard of in the industry.
Yeah, sure.
And then I was doing, for World Outlaws, I was doing the leading edge cuffs long before anybody else was doing it, and I probably sold 500 of those things to the World Outlaws guys. So while I was racing, I was kind of using that to support my racing, my bad habits.
Sure.
Right.
And I've made a bunch of go-kart stuff, so I still run shifter carts and do
that's
some
pretty
stuff.
cool.
So, yeah, you got to get some adrenaline somewhere.
I hear you.
You know.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, you can't take it with you.
Well, if you want a Flex Innovation aircraft, I guess you can go to criticalrc.com and order off your website.
The beauty of that is that we can drop ship the same exact price as it would be for Flex.
Oh, very
And
nice.
if you order, say, a Mamba 60, we'll do packages for the landing gear, wheels, knock a few bucks off of each one of them if you buy the airplane plus the package. RV8 gear we got in stock now. Mamba 70 gear we have in stock. I've sold, first 2 weeks we sold 14, 15 sets of gear for the Mamba 70s, and the guys are just loving them. So
Good. Great reviews. Yeah.
appreciate it.
And then not a problem. So on the order page, you have a notes section. You can put in the Park Flyer podcast sent you to Critical RC.
Absolutely.
So then Bryce can bust my chops about that too. I'm sure. So.
Your chops are...
Yeah. It's a family show. Family show.
All right.
Well, we're glad to see that you're out here this weekend. Watch you guys do the demo as obvious, as always. Awesome. You are an awesome pilot and always pushing the limits. I love to see that because there's nothing that Bryce won't do. And actually, I have to credit him. He taught me how to do my first pop top, so it was pretty good. And I did it with his. It was his Cessna, right? I think I did it with your
Absolutely.
Cessna.
You guys come on out. If you ever see me at the field, grab the sticks. I'll let you fly any of our stuff. And please feel free to come over and say hey and come on and grab the sticks.
Absolutely. And it's fun, too, because he's like, oh, do this.
But you got to do it full throttle.
Yeah,
None of this pulling
None
the
of that.
throttle
Well,
back.
there
None
is
of
no
that
other.
stuff.
Right?
Exactly.
That's what you just said.
No,
Just press the button and hold on.
That's it. You just hold on. But
right.
yeah, he does this really cool.
Slow down, press the button again.
Right. He does a really cool, I love his slips to a landing kind of thing. He does this big circle slip. It's pretty cool, too. I love watching Brian fly. And he's a good helicopter pilot, too.
Yeah, gotta be a little well-rounded. Gotta scare the heck out of everybody.
Exactly.
All the time.
We appreciate it. That's good. So, all
right,
right. Well,
I'm gonna
Bryce
go
Hatfield,
play.
Critical RC. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, everybody, welcome back to the Park Flyer Podcast. We are in the middle of the night fly, and we're joined today once again by Mr. Doug Leroy. Welcome to the podcast again.
I think you said that wrong. It's supposed to be Doug Leroy.
Okay, then that sounds better than what I said.
We can edit that.
Yeah, we can. We can put that in later. Well, what did you think so far?
I am still in awe.
Really?
So many planes. I think there was as many planes as there were spectators here. I've never seen so many planes in one place. But just an incredible bunch of guys that really enjoy this hobby and doing a lot of neat things with it. Just really impressed by the event, and the noon demos were great. I like the feature that they had with the gaggles.
That's always fun.
The pre-demo with the little UMX gaggle. We probably had, 20 UMX planes in the air.
Right.
It was really cool.
Yeah, those UMX things are pretty fun to fly. Last year we had one, and I think they counted 39 or something in there, and it was just like a mosquito fest up there. And we actually literally had a mid-air collision with two. It was hilarious. And it did no damage.
Right.
They bumped in, and then they spun around, went in, and they just picked them up, threw it back in.
Yeah, they were locked.
Yeah, they were locked. That's how
they were locked or something.
Yeah, so they pulled them apart, boom, back out flying. So it was kind of fun. Now you did your first night fly, right?
I did,
and that was actually last night. That was last night.
Yep. I got some good flight training.
There you go.
I got drilled on.
I don't know about that.
You took me through the paces. I learned a few things.
Cool.
Now, that was the first time you've night flown at all? I mean, the whole time?
Yeah, I've never night flown ever.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And you got to fly the Hobby King Night Walrus, and you flew it again tonight. And this time you got to participate in the stealth mode little challenge.
Right, that's kind of unique.
And
actually, I think someone down there was saying, there's a problem with that plane. It keeps turning off its lights. I said,
does that mean the battery's low?
That's right. It's a switch.
It's a switch.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, they not too many night flyers have switches.
No.
Jay actually got me that switch, and we installed it, and it's actually been a lot of fun ever since. So there were several night walruses out here. I actually just maidened one for somebody else. They came out here and asked me to maiden, and then it's been fun. We had 9 or 10 night flyers in the air all at once tonight, so it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was good.
In fact, your wife came to the show, and that's one of the things she said. She saw the field.
That's correct.
The planes flying over the field before she even got here.
So my wife was not too far away from where the flying field was for something, and she called me and said, "Holy smokes, I can see all your airplanes over the field. I'm so close, I'm coming over." So she came and visited us tonight, so that was kind of nice. Well, what are some of the highlights you thought?
Just talking to some of the pilots that are here, there was one guy that I talked to that was really into the modifying the radios.
Oh, right.
The vintage
radios.
Yeah,
that's right. In fact, you were the one that actually helped us turn us on to get that.
That's right. That's right. So he was interesting to speak with.
That was Scott.
Todd.
Scott Todd.
Yep. And I was talking to the some of the vendors that were here. And just a lot of great people.
Yeah.
And then one of the gaggles, you almost won it. You almost won the whole kit and
caboodle.
Right.
You did participate in one of the gaggles.
Yeah, the power of the slow stick. Well, I think in that, this plane actually sustained the most damage of anyone.
Yeah. I didn't see you get hit. That's the.
I did, of course, because I was flying, but it was a good half second of chewing on the wing. I'm looking at the wing right now. I'm trying to think how much there's quite a bit out of that wing.
Yeah.
Gone.
Right. Yeah, there is a big chunk out of it. So you can see where the propeller went. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
It sounded a lot like one of those wood table saws.
Yeah,
when it went to it.
Well, the funny part was I was walking to the other side of the field, and right when that happened, the entire audience there just went, "Oh!" You could hear it. And then it was almost like, "Oh!" And because you stayed in the air, it didn't just descend. So it was almost like they went, "Oh, yay!"
Yeah. I don't know. I was the chewee, so I don't know what happened to the chewer. Did he just keep flying?
I don't know if he
crashed?
kept flying or not.
I don't think he did. I think he went down.
Yeah.
That slow stick. It's just so slow, right?
Yeah, it's so slow.
I think I can get it, but
It does have a secret in it, though. It's a secret slow stick.
What's the secret?
Got a gyro in it.
the gyro that's not turned on.
Yeah, it's like
it wasn't turned on?
only.
That's right. The reason we chose this man sitting next to me right here was because he had the most stick time.
Oh, well, there you go.
And it showed.
Yes.
Yeah.
He went up there,
Clearly.
kicked some butt.
Oh, okay, he did. Yeah,
And the only reason he didn't win the whole event, the whole enchilada, was he didn't know where he was supposed to land. Because we went over our time, and then all of a sudden Shannon came up with, okay, you have to land on the X. And he didn't know if it was the X was back home, over there to the left, that mountain, that bush.
Well, X marks the spot.
Well, I landed on the other guy's crash, so I thought that was the spot.
Oh, there you go.
It was a spot,
wasn't.
not the spot. So.
Exactly.
And then they gave it the award to the guy that remained in the air the longest, right? They said,
No. They give it to the guy who landed closest to the X.
Oh, okay,
After
I
the
got
time,
that
it
right.
was a 5-minute time limit.
Right.
And then after that, after
You
Shannon
gotta hit
said,
the
time's
spot.
up, the first one to reach the spot
Won. Oh,
or
gotcha.
closest to the spot, whoever that spot was, because I didn't know where it was either.
I remember one year he did that same thing, and what happened is someone just went to dive bomb
Yep,
right into
they
the
just-
spot.
they
Their
put
plane
it right
exploded,
in.
but they won.
Yeah, they did. Because he was like the highest one up there. He just pointed at the ground, full throttle. Boom. Hey, he's the first one, and
That's why
he was right on the spot.
That's why he said specifically what he did.
Yeah.
First one.
It would have to be my plane then if I did that. I couldn't do that.
Well,
I
it's
don't
not
know.
like you could have really crashed.
I know,
slow
slow
to the ground.
Even full throttle, that thing wouldn't have hit the ground. Like, oh, okay, here I
The wings
come.
are shaking.
Right.
Yeah, I think
The wings are actually
off
slowing
before
it down
that.
by shaking.
Right, it is. Yeah, when it hits terminal velocity, it's
Yes,
got
exactly.
wing
That's
shake
it.
go.
And terminal velocity on this thing is about 1 mile an hour, so
Yeah,
it's good.
We use the wing wag as a warning to slow down.
Right.
Visual, and you hear it.
And he's the highest up there, and he's the last one down.
I think
full
it was an
throttle.
A harmonic or
Has
something.
to use
you
the
know?
throttle. Come down.
Faster. That's as fast as I go.
What
I'm
you
at full
heard-
throttle.
That you knew said, land it.
Yeah, I'm sure the wings would have folded before.
Oh yeah, they were trying
Funny.
to.
Well, what else you think? Anything? You just see anything spectacular? Anything that you wanted to take home? And
Yeah.
Well, I spent a lot of time talking to Shannon about how he organized his event. And,
True.
gets so many people out here. I was really impressed by the public that attendee, and obviously this being the 16th year, having some of that legacy helps.
Sure.
To draw, and but he does a lot of social media.
He does do a lot of that.
Flyers in the hobby shops. We talked about how he gets his pilot's prizes because the way they do it here, everyone walks away with something,
right?
Which is kind of cool. I always like it when I go to an event, everybody gets something. So we're gonna keep up the conversation.
Good.
After this event.
Well, that is one of the things that's very unique about this particular event is that every registered pilot goes home with something in their hand. And there was time when that wasn't the case.
Right.
And it was kind of a, hit or miss. You got a couple big prizes, but now everybody gets something. And, some years, we've been doing this 6 years now, and some years we really take home the big cheese, and other years, we get the small prize. So it kind of levels out. It's not every year, the same guy gets it, or, it's not a raffle. I've been to ones where they sell tickets, and then you feel like you're supporting the club, but at the same time you're like, man, I'm paying a $5-10 for a raffle ticket, and I'm going to get a battery charger or something, a little checker. Where this one here, you have the chance of winning a Dauntless aircraft that's worth $800, and you only paid $40 to get in.
Yeah,
that's a huge draw
for 3 days. Don't forget about that.
For 3 days.
For 3 days.
40 for 3 days.
Pizza party is
right.
included in that. So
plus the camaraderie and all the flying you want to get, and they provide the power.
Noontime show power.
Yeah, that's right. It's noontime show.
That gave me some ideas because the guy that has the solar bank here kind of.
Right.
That offset a little bit of the cost of what generator they had to rent.
That's correct.
To have power out here.
Basically, the fuel cost. I think the generator cost still had to, incur that, but they didn't have to rent it for the full 3 days and pay all the diesel fuel.
Right.
So.
Right.
And we ran on that most of the day. I think it was first time for the solar generator, and it did really well.
I get a chance to talk to the wife of the guy who brought the solar stuff out.
Oh yeah.
She said that we used quadruple what they had planned on.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah, he told me this morning when we were standing here talking, I was up early out here flying by myself, and Shannon walked up and said that they had logged like 185 amps or something at the high peak with everybody charging. He said the guy grossly underestimated, what people were really doing. He said he thought when he said, "Hey, there's a lot of battery chargers out here," he thought each battery was being charged. He didn't realize that my charger alone, both my chargers pull 40 amps each. That's 80 amps, and he thought the whole place was at 80 amps. So it wasn't. He did not realize until this went through that he was like, "Oh my gosh, this was a lot more electricity than what he thought." Yep. And of course, we camp here. We have an RV that we stay, pretty much all night, and running the slots in the RV on the solar generator really took its toll as well. So, but they were
we wrecked it.
Yeah, we did. That's funny.
Make me another smoothie, Mike. Yeah.
So,
why is the power lasting?
I know.
Can you also turn the microwave on? And,
yeah, exactly. The microwave.
The microwave is the worst.
Heat up my coffee. Well, it's been a really great day. You came with probably the best weather in the last few years.
Thanks for bringing the good weather.
You brought the good weather.
Well,
with
I
you.
left bad weather at home and I came out here, but no, I really appreciate the invite. You guys were.
Yeah, not a problem.
AK Mike put the bug in my ear and said, "Hey, you ought to come out and join us in Arizona." I said, "Well, I'll think about that because I've never taken a weekend away, for myself. A little bit selfish, but it's fun to hang out with you guys and enjoy some RC model flying and talk to like-minded people that are
sure.
Well,
the good news is this hobby's so small that all the contacts that you did make today will stick with you. That's the good news. I mean, we get people that come up all the time from everywhere like, "Oh man, it's good to see you." We may only see them once a year here, but it's, the guys are good and exchange information and stay in touch with them. It's
really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm going to have to check into that.
Well, you know what? Nobody wants to be friends with you, man.
Yeah, I know. That's why it touches me when you guys let me stay on the radio with you.
I know, right? And we have to give a big shout out to Doug too, because he had to sleep on the couch in our RV, and so
he's the tallest one of our group, and he had the short
rack. The rack, yeah, that's right. I don't know if anybody's ever stayed in an RV, but when you pull out the couch, it's got that bar to keep visitors at a minimum, so he's only staying one night with us. Hey, you can stay two. That's all right. I got a hotel.
Yeah. Well, I did explain that bar, it literally was in the spot when I turned on my side, it just kind of fit in the little hip groove, But on my back, it was a lumbar support.
That's a whole new definition of lumbar.
Not comfortable at all. Not comfortable at all.
Yeah, I've spent many a time on that couch. My parents have an RV, but it's fun anyway. And Big Mike and Harry, they were next door, so we've had a really good time. And tonight's especially kind of fun because Big Mike brought some runway markers that light up, and he stuck them out there to keep people from
really
going off the end of the runway there. So that was kind of neat.
I did tell you, Doug, that would probably be the best night of sleep you've had in a while. I don't think I was far off.
No, I slept like a baby. Well, there was one point where I did see Mike get up, and I saw a silhouette doing something in the shadow.
Yeah, that's right.
Middle of the night calisthenics or something. Then somebody said, "Well, he went out flying." I'm like, "I'm back to sleep." And then maybe I saw. Were you on the top bunk or was?
Yeah,
Mike?
I was on the top.
Yeah. I think you came out one time and stuck the landing, and that's cool. I'm seeing it all right here. Or maybe that was a dream. I don't know. And then one time I thought, was that an earthquake? Because the whole RV was doing this vertical up and down. I'm like, my company makes some nice dampers that out.
If you send them ahead, we'll make sure to put them on there.
That's right, we will.
Yeah, I'm like,
well, let's just say that the ground is a little more rocky than what we're used to, and even though we put wood down, if somebody goes from the front to the back, to the back of the RV, it kind of shifts.
But I'm here to report that the CG is right on target.
It was right on target, yeah. Well, we have had it where I think last year or the year before, where we had the RV was sitting on a slant, and so it's always like everybody was sliding, towards the rear of the RV. And I got up the next day, and I was like, how did I wind up at the foot of the bed? Because I'm in the sleeping bag, and it's just right to the edge. It just slid down. I'm like, we got to do something. We had to go out there and re-level it, but it's always been a fun time for us, and we really enjoy the time that you came out and spent with us. So we appreciate you coming out.
I appreciate it.
It'll be a good memory.
So the next thing you got to work on is you got to get yourself a hard case for
bringing airplanes.
Did you bring your hard case?
Because it's in the
trailer.
Well, we're gonna have to show him that.
Oh yeah, I'll show you the hard case
before he leaves.
Yeah, I do need to see that. Yeah,
because we're trying to explain it to him, and he's like just giving us that look he gives us all the time.
So yeah,
well, maybe that's normal then.
Some synapses are firing, but I'm missing a connection here. You got to help me with a picture, man.
So you do what with soup? What?
Hey, it was nice knowing you guys, but I'm out of here. Right? I'm going to go back and report those guys are nuts.
I'm really glad I went because now I don't have to spend another minute with them.
That's right, exactly.
But I was on a bus with a golf team. They had all their golf bags, and I was thinking about your golf. That's what you modify, right?
That's it. Yeah.
It's not really modified. I just use it directly. I added some foam, so that stuff doesn't get crushed or bounce around. Okay. But other than that,
best part is watching the baggage handlers pick that thing up because they think it weighs like 50 pounds. Throw it through the roof because they're like, "Whoa, these are the lightest set of golf clubs I think I've ever had."
I remember one person asked, "What is in this thing?" Airplanes. Blink, blink. What did you say? Airplanes. More blinking.
Yeah. You can see his brain synapses smacking there like, what
He's like,
the?
step over here, sir.
Then they're like, shrug shoulder, throw it on the thing.
Exactly.
Put on the glove. Come with us. What does that have to do with anything?
Come on over here. We got a few questions for you, Mr. Mike.
Small room to bring you into.
Gloves.
So if I decide to come out next year, they'll be like, we saw a guy from Texas that came through here with the golf bag too, and you're the second guy. There must be something going on. I'm calling Fred at the FAA field office.
When they tell everybody to secretly meet up somewhere.
When they secretly meet up somewhere.
Yeah, it's like they're doing a dance.
Rendezvous.
Rendezvous.
No. Like they have a
a rave.
No, I can't remember the name. Anyway, you secretly tell everybody, like, you're going to show up at 3 o'clock at this one place. And so what we can do is we just tell everybody.
Like a flash mob?
Flash mob. There you go.
Oh, ding, and then we
you win. He's the winner, chicken dinner.
And then we could do a flash mob for, like, everybody have the 3 o'clock flight.
Oh, yeah, everybody has
airplanes in there. All these different airports at the same time.
Right, everybody shows up. The guy's like throwing these bags out going, what's in these things?
We have 364 days to plan that.
There you go.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
Well, this is definitely on my calendar for next year. I got another vacation week over the Electric Festival, so that's good news. I will be here once again. And we'd look forward to you guys coming out too. And this, I go back and tell Jason and the guys, hey man, that was a great event.
I'm telling Jason, I'm gonna recruit him.
Good. You can both come out and we can figure something out. You got to fly a couple of the airplanes today. You flew or yesterday, I think you flew the EDF for the first time too. Right?
I did.
Is
I
that
never
your first
flown an EDF before. I'm still shaking from it too.
Which one did you fly?
He flew the L-39.
L-39. Oh, that's the easiest one to fly.
Well. Sure, say that.
No. I meant that's a good thing because I got one and thank goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jay got one for a gift. So
he does his off of grass.
Yeah.
Well,
and it works really well off of grass.
Really well.
I listened to my flight instructor very, very keenly when he said, "Give it power in the turn, little throttle.
Yeah.
Don't yank and bank."
Well, not yet.
Well, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know about that. That's what he does when he flies.
I know. Yeah.
Kind of a hypocrite.
Yeah. Ouch. That one really hurt. Dude, I was just trying to ease him into the yanking and banking part. I thought you really did well. I mean, it flies really nice anyway, but I think you did great. So, and it's pretty fun, don't you think?
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
Although he didn't get to land it, I think he handed the radio back to me. So there. And look who just showed up. It's Spencer. Yeah, speak of the devil. So, well, we are looking forward to next year. And, man, it's great to have you here. We understand you have to go back tomorrow, so we're going to miss you on the early morning flight. Or actually, you'll be on an early morning flight. We'll miss you here at the field. How's that? So,
I'll wave as I'm flying over.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah. We'll be out here.
Now, when you're in the plane, when we were flying today, when the scale plane flew over, everybody would yell out "scale."
Right.
So when you see in the plane they're flying over, he's going to yell out what?
RC
miniature.
Because literally, if he's taking off to the east, he'll fly right over the field.
Yeah.
So
he's going to be like miniature, and everybody's going to look at him like, "What are you talking about?"
Full scale.
But with all the full scale traffic that's like periphery, like going around this field, I'm like. They must be logging their drone sightings for like decades now.
Well, this field's been here for a long time, and there is an airport just to the, to the west of us, and there's one just to the south of us. And they do have a lot of training, but they will actually call over and say, "Hey, this is events going on." So those guys will know, when they come over that there's RC events here.
Yeah.
And they fly at this field pretty regular. We appreciate it, the time that you spent with us. And, man, come back. See us anytime.
Yeah,
I will.
Look forward to it.
Thanks.
It's been fun so far. All right, we're going to jump out and head back to night flying and see what the heck Spencer's doing because he's laughing. He's
He's got a mouse in his pocket or
he
something.
Does, yeah. He's watching videos on YouTube beside us. So, all right, guys, back out to the flight line.
You have been listening to the Park Flyer Podcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to your next visit. Please give our show a star rating and review, and feel free to email us your questions, topics, or suggestions to parkflyerpodcast@gmail.com.